Good evening, YouTube family. This is Ron Nichols. I want to again thank you for checking out my channel. And here we go. This is an article from the Mayo Clinic called Forgiveness, Letting Go of Grudges and Bitterness. Who hasn't been hurt by the actions or words of another? Perhaps a parent constantly criticized you growing up, a colleague sabotaged a project, or your partner had an affair, or maybe you had a traumatic experience such as being physically or emotionally abused by someone close to you. These wounds can leave you with lasting feelings of anger, bitterness, and even vengeance. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness means different things to different people. Generally, however, it involves a decision to let go of resentment and thoughts of revenge. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you, but forgiveness can lessen its grip on you and help free you from the control of the person who has harmed you. Forgiveness can even lead to feelings of understanding, empathy, and compassion for the one who hurt you. So what are the benefits of forgiving someone? Well, for one, you'll have healthier relationships, you'll have improved mental health, less anxiety, stress, and hostility, lower blood pressure, fewer symptoms of depression, a stronger immune system, improved heart health, improved self-esteem. Why is it so easy to hold on to a grudge? According to this article, by being hurt by someone, particularly someone you love and trust, can cause anger, sadness, and confusion. If you dwell on hurtful events or situations, grudges filled with resentment, vengeance, and hostility can take root. And we know, we've heard lots of times on the news where people have went on murderous rampages, shooting people on the freeways, going into restaurants and post offices and stuff because they had an offense and they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't talk it out with somebody, and then they killed others and then turned the weapons most of the times on themselves. So having these bad thoughts, these grudges, these feelings of anger and so forth, they're not healthy. So what are the effects of holding a grudge? It brings anger and bitterness into every relationship and new experience. You become so wrapped up in the wrong that you can't enjoy the present. You become depressed and anxious. You feel like life lacks meaning and purpose, or that you're at odds with your spiritual beliefs, and that you're less valuable. You lose valuable and enriching connectedness with others. I want to pause here for a second and say that if you're a veteran, or even if you're not a veteran, there are resources out there for you to help you get help. It's a cliche, but suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Call this Veterans Crisis Line or the National Suicide Prevention Line, and someone on the other end will be more than happy to talk you through whatever it is you're going through. So how do you reach a state of forgiveness? Forgiveness is a commitment to a personalized process of change. To move from suffering to forgiveness, you might recognize the value of forgiveness and how it can improve your life. Identify what needs healing and who needs to be forgiven and for what. Consider joining a support group or seeing a counselor. Another note here, if you pay a professional psychiatrist or psychologist, you're probably looking at $100 an hour for them to listen to your problem. However, you can go to a community counseling clinic and have a licensed clinical social worker listen to your problem for like $10 an hour. So if you feel like you need to go talk to someone professionally because you don't want to share with a close friend or a family member, maybe they're the ones that have hurt you, I would recommend going to a community counseling clinic and talking it out with them so that they can help you to deal with the pain that you're experiencing and help you move toward forgiveness. It goes on to say, acknowledge your emotions about the harm done to you and how they affect your behavior and work to release them. Choose to forgive the person who has offended you. Move away from the role as victim and release the control and power the offending person and situation have had in your life. You see, when we have grudges and hold grudges against other people, they're usually not aware of it. And even if they are, they could care less. So holding a grudge doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. So let yourself go. Get out of that. Come on. It says, what can happen if you can't forgive someone? Forgiveness can be challenging, especially if the person who's hurt you doesn't admit wrong. If you find yourself stuck, practice empathy. Try seeing the situation from the other person's point of view. Ask yourself why he or she would behave in such a way. Perhaps you would have reacted similarly if you faced the same situation. Reflect on times you've hurt others and on those who've forgiven you. Write in a journal, pray, and use guided meditation, or talk with a person you found to be wise and compassionate, such as a spiritual leader, a mental health provider, or an impartial loved one or friend. Journaling is a good exercise. I do it every day. It'll help you to get those feelings out onto paper so that you can release them and not bottle them up on the inside. Be aware that forgiveness is a process, and even small hurts may need to be revisited and forgiven over and over again. As you can see, forgiveness is not a one and done thing. It's a continual act of your will to forgive those persons who have harmed you. Does forgiveness guarantee reconciliation? If the hurtful event involves someone whose relationship you otherwise value, forgiveness can lead to reconciliation. This isn't always the case, however. Reconciliation might be possible if the offender might be impossible if the offender has died or is unwilling to communicate with you. In the case, if say someone who offended you died, there's no way you can physically talk to that person. But what you can do is you can write a letter explaining what they did and how it made you feel, and then you can ask them to forgive you in the letter, and then either bury the letter or burn it in a safe place, not in your house and not on your back deck, but somewhere outside where, like a fire pit or a burn pile or whatever. Burn the letter, and you can come to closure that way. What if the person unforgiven doesn't change? Getting another person to change his or her actions, behavior, or words isn't the point of forgiveness. Think of forgiveness more about how it can change your life by bringing you peace, happiness, emotional, and spiritual healing. Forgiveness can take away the power the other person continues to wield in your life. So if you don't forgive, that person has you bound up in your mind, but when you forgive, you release yourself from that person and from their control over you. Lastly, what if you're the one who needs forgiveness? The first step is to honestly assess and acknowledge the wrongs you've done and how they have affected others. Avoid judging yourself too harshly. Give yourself some slack. If you're truly sorry for something you've said or done, consider admitting it to those you've harmed. And sometimes this can even involve your children. I remember a time when I had to ask my daughter to forgive me because I had acted compulsively and said something I shouldn't have said, and then I asked her to forgive me, and she did, and we moved on. Speak of your sincere sorrow or regret and ask for forgiveness without making excuses. Remember, however, you can't force someone to forgive you. Others need to move to forgiveness in their own time. Whatever happens, commit to treating others with compassion, empathy, and respect. I believe that if the world practices this one act of forgiving others, this world would be a lot better place to live in. Remember, Jesus loves you. I love you. Have a good day.